Hey guys, welcome to the topic of sewing with heavyweight specialty fabrics. This is a great direction to go in your choice of fabric with specific garments. It really gives you the ability to create authentic looking garments and pieces at a smaller scale, so fashion in miniature. Choices of fabrics like vegan leather, real leather, fur, like heavyweight duck or twill fabric really just bring that authentic touch and give you the ability to create a piece that really stands out in the crowd amongst other doll clothes size items. Now, a lot of these tips and techniques can be used regardless of the size of the garment. So if you're making a smaller scale fashion item for an 18-inch doll, or a larger scale fashion item for a girl or yourself. All of these techniques and tips and tricks can be used interchangeably no matter the size of garment that you're working on. If you look around at garments designed for people, you'll notice that these types of fabrics are used all the time. Very rarely will you see a quilting cotton used as a jacket or even as a bag. Sometimes there are tote bags made out of basic quilting cottons, but a lot of times it's a heavier weight, sturdier fabric. Those are generally the choices that you're going to see with a bag, a purse, or a backpack. So let's take a look at a couple examples of some of the items in the Liberty Jane collection. The Snow Club jacket is one of my favorites. We made this from a purchase jacket we actually picked up at Forever 21. I think we found it on clearance. It was less than $10. It is a very soft, supple, vegan leather type product that's an off-white color. It was fully lined, so we were able to use both the jacket fabric and the lining fabric in our reproduction item. So the fabrics coordinated perfectly and worked together to create a stunning finished garment. Another nice example is the motorcycle jacket. Now this one we made from fabrics that we purchased off the bolt. It is a Microsuede fabric. It has a soft texture on the finished side and then a smooth polyester type back lining on the inside or the wrong side of the fabric. It's very lightweight and it has a very nice, authentic looking finished result when the jacket is done. It is a little bit more complicated to sew with. It does have a little bit of resistance as the needle is trying to go through the fabric. So this requires a little bit of tips and techniques that we'll show you throughout this course to successfully sew with it, but the results are worth it. It turns out a phenomenal piece that really has an authentic look. Another jacket pattern that we've done is the bomber jacket design. And we have two different patterns at different levels. The bomber jacket itself is a little bit more complex. It has more pattern pieces. And the aviator jacket, a simplified version, raglan sleeve construction. So it goes together really quickly and easily and is a great use for the fabrics that are a little bit more challenging to sew with, like all the vegan leathers or that Microsuede fabric, because it is done with right sides together and you can choose to do top stitching or not. And if you pass on the top stitching, then the jacket sews together really quickly when using the aviator pattern. So again, in this example, this pink fabric we found on the bolt at the fabric store, the punched out texture was already part of the fabric and it's very on trend. So we've seen that around in the stores, on girls, and we knew that this would be a popular design choice for the fabric, so it worked really well. We found coordinating ribbing and the whole thing came together and gave a very nice, authentic looking miniature version of a real garment. Now let's take a closer look at the Microsuede fabric. So if you look this up online, you will look for, on a website like Joann, you will see suede cloth Microsuede fabric. It's a 58-inch wide fabric. It comes on the bolt. It typically, on average, is about $20 a yard, but frequently you can find it on sale. The good thing is you use very little for a jacket. A quarter of a yard, you can easily make a variety of the jackets from the patterns that we have. So in front of us right here, you can see several things. We have the Piccadilly skirt. This one here is a small one done for the BFC ink doll. This right here is done in that suede cloth, the Microsuede. So you can see it has that suede leather-like look on the finished outside, and this is in an animal print. And then the backing on the inside is just a smooth polyester finish. So this fabric is 100% polyester. It has a little bit of resistance, like I mentioned, when you're sewing with it. The nice thing is on the skirt design, you don't need to hem it. It doesn't fray, so this is a clean cut edge for this circle skirt, and then it lays really nicely folding back on top of itself because it's not hemmed. So that works well for this design, and we have this available in a variety of sizes. Then the other examples we have sitting here, we have a bomber jacket. We have this steam jacket. This is in a gray. This one's in a different sort of a metallic animal print. And then we have the motorcycle jacket as well. So the fabric right here I have folded on one of my small bolts, and you can see here from the inside we have the same thing. On the finished inside edge, it's just that smooth polyester backing, and then on the finished outside edge, it has that leather-like sheen. So as you can see right here, this is very soft and supple. It works great for the jackets because it's able to fold under the arms or in the elbows, in the underarm area. It has a nice drape to it. So that is a great choice for a variety of the jackets, as well as bag patterns that you can find on Pixie Fair. Now let's take a closer look at the vegan leather, faux leather, or authentic leather fabrics. So over here on the right, we have some examples, some that we've already shown you: the Snow Club jacket, the steam jacket. Then we have this red jacket, which is just a basic pattern. We don't have this as a pattern available, but the fabric choice for this is such a nice version of a faux or vegan leather product. It's so authentic feeling, and the inside is actually a very nice brushed suede. So overall, it just has a very nice texture. And this one is crumbling a little bit. It is honestly from 2008, so it was an original piece that we made, but it is a great fabric choice if you can find stuff like that in the vegan option. So then over here on the left is a few of the cut fabric examples. This is that vegan leather product, and you can see that this is very lightweight. It's very supple. It has a nice plasticky kind of vinyl sheen on the finished side. And then the inside is actually just a soft polyester backing. So these are put together and it creates one piece of fabric. It actually has a little bit of stretch in it, so it can be used to create things like even a pair of leggings that would look like a pair of leather pants. So this you can buy off the bolt. There are several places online to find this, and you'll find that in the resource section of this course. And now here is a leftover piece of this project that we mentioned earlier when we made the Snow Club jacket. So here you can see I have a whole sleeve left over. And now this is actually quite a bit of fabric. I could probably make a jacket for a smaller doll out of this, or a skirt, or a cute bag. There's a lot of fabric. And then as you can see, I have a whole entire piece of lining fabric as well. So again, this is a great resource if you find this kind of stuff at thrift shops, on clearance at a variety of discount stores. It's a great way to find some fabrics that you're not going to find on the bolt at the fabric store. And then last, here is another example of the same thing. This is actually two skirts. And in this visual display that you're seeing right now, the light is a little bit harsh, so the two colors don't really look like they coordinate as well as they actually do. But I have a vegan leather product here that's burgundy that has this really cute diamond like punch design in it, but it doesn't go all the way through. It's just an indent on the fabric. And then it's backed with that same type of polyester backing. And then we found a burgundy ribbing that we knew we could use for the waistbands and the cuffs, just like on this jacket. So if we did the diamond design for the fabric pieces, and then we use that ribbing on the cuffs and the waistline and the neckline, it would all coordinate well, and we could do several jackets out of these pieces. And then back in here, you'll see I have a clear file box, and this is how I like to store my vinyl, leather, vegan leather, those types of fabrics, so that they're not folded, because the folding of them will cause a crease. On the vegan leather, you can actually iron it with the wrong side up, and that helps to remove some of that. But for the most part, it's best to store these like this. And you can see this in the other Getting Organized course. We have a lot of tips for storing fabric similar to this. So here I have actually some real leather pieces, and these come in shapes like this. You don't find these on the bolt. When you find authentic leather, it's going to be in remnant chunks like this because it's not made on the bolt. So you have pieces from the pieces that are sourced and you buy it. Pretty much it's priced by like the square inch, or a measurement determines how much these cost. So many of these I have picked up when I've been down in San Francisco at breathtaking Fabrics, or up in the Seattle area. There is a fabric store called Pacific Fabrics, and they have pieces like this. This fuchsia suede was one that I got up here locally. And this one too is rough cut around the edges because it is a natural piece of fabric. It's not off the bolt, so you pay for the amount that is created. But this again is a very beautiful piece of fabric. It's very soft. The suede finish is really pretty, and then it's a little bit more smooth on the back side. And I could honestly use either side of this depending on the look I was going for with the jacket or bag that I'm creating. And then here are a few more of the vegan leather options. This is a burgundy and it's backed just with the cream polyester finish. And then this one right here is actually a fun print. It's kind of got a geometric design on the finish side, and then that same polyester backing on the back side. Another type of fabric that we're going to take a closer look at is faux fur. So here you can see we have a small piece in front of us. Now this would be great for a vest or adding a fur collar to a jacket. There are a variety of tips and techniques that we'll look at for sewing with this type of fabric, but you can see just for how it's constructed, we have fur that is directional on the right side, and then it's backed with a smooth polyester backing. So you're going to want to do your pattern marking and placement on the back side using chalk or pen to outline your pieces, cut from the back side with the fur being carefully pushed out of the way so that you're not trimming off the excess fur and then it doesn't lay nicely at the seams. So again, we'll cover that a little bit later, but that is just a look at this type of fabric. And now let's take a look at the denim and neoprene type fabrics. So these are easier to find. You can use a variety of different weights of denim for pretty much any of the patterns on Pixie Fair. The skinny jeans should definitely be made out of a lighter weight stretch denim, but most of the other patterns, jackets, skirts, etc. can be used with either a lightweight or a heavyweight denim. Now my preference is the 7-ounce weight stretch denim, and these two colors right here are those types of fabrics. I found those frequently at Joann's, both online and in the store. They're a lightweight. They come in a variety of colors. They have a little bit of stretch in them. They sew very easily. I don't have any issues with the machine or with too much bulk in the seams, sewing the pockets. All of that works really well with this type of denim. It also, if you can find it in white, it works really well to dye. I've dyed it multiple times, different colors, mint green, pink, a light lavender, light blue. So it does work well. It also can be bleached and you kind of get the opposite effect. So if you can only find a vibrant yellow or a hot pink, you can bleach them and turn them into pastel colors as well. So there's a lot of variety with this lighter weight fabric. Now up here in front, I have a heavier weight denim. This is thicker. It's not really stretchy. It's more of a traditional denim. This actually works really well for distressed items. This type produces a much more authentic look when you do the distressing techniques than the actual lighter weight stretch denim, but it is a toss-up because it's a little bit more challenging to sew with. So we'll take a closer look at that throughout the course, some tips and techniques for use with the heavier weight denim, as well as the simplified techniques for the lighter weight denim. And then this last fabric, we're calling neoprene. This is not authentic neoprene. It is a little bit lighter weight, perfect for doll clothes. It is a polyester fabric. It doesn't need to be hemmed. You can cut the edges, so it works great for this type of pattern, like the Piccadilly skirt, which is just a circle skirt. You don't have to hem it, which works well. for the drape of that design. But it does sew, you do top stitching and you sew on the waistband. There's lining on the inside of that yoke. So you are still dealing with tips and techniques to sew through this fabric. It is a little bit, it's more heavyweight. It is a little bit harder, more challenging to sew through. So you want to have the right needle choices and the techniques for sewing with this as well. So now you might be asking yourself, okay, what supplies do I need to successfully sew these types of fabrics? In front of me right here is a grouping of the supplies that I am using most frequently. On the right, I have 2 books, and I refer to these all the time. Fabrics A to Z by Dana Willard is one of my favorites. It is a tremendous resource. I've shown this before. It's laid out in a way where every type of fabric is on its own page. You see the fabric type, the properties of the fabric, working with the fabric, what stitch length, what sewing machine feet, what needles, how to handle it, washing, drying, ironing, sewing tips and techniques, all within every specific type. So this is a great resource. And like I said, I refer to this all the time, and I think you would love to have this on hand. Another one that I've used is the Dressmaker's Handbook of Couture Sewing Techniques. You can find either of these books on Amazon. They're both a great resource. Then as far as tools go, when you're working with the vegan leather, real leather, you're probably going to need to use something like a Wonder Clip instead of a pin. So the fabric itself will be damaged if you're trying to pin through it. You'll poke holes and it's not self-healing, so you'll be left with tears in the fabric. Wonder Clips are a great tool. They are just little clips. You can position that with your fabric pieces right sides together and just slip that inside the clip and position it in a way that you can successfully sew around them, and then you just slide them off. Another good resource to have on hand is double-sided quilter's tape. Now we use this in the zippers course, so many of you might already have this. If you don't, I would recommend picking it up. It is 1/8 of an inch wide, and it is sticky on both sides. So on the roll, it has a paper backing, and you can peel it off. You apply it inside your seam allowance, and then you press your fabric right sides together, and then you're just careful to stitch just to the left of that so that your stitching is not going through the tape. And then after you do your sewing, you can carefully remove that, but it allows you to hold the pieces together while you're sewing without using pins. Then many of these fabrics are using some sort of non-stick foot. So this right here is an example for the machine that I have, which is a Bernina 330. This is a non-stick foot. It's like Teflon coated, so it's very slippery, and it will slide nicely along the finished side or the right side of those leather type fabrics. If you try to sew with those on a traditional foot, it's gonna get stuck and it causes your stitches to be pretty uneven, and it's not lined up good with the underside, the bobbin thread stitching. Now there's another type of foot called a roller foot, which also produces a similar result. So that foot is designed, it has a metal roller in it, and it helps push the fabric forward as it's sewing, and it glides and rolls right along the top of your fabric. Now another technique that I've heard but haven't actually tried is to just take your standard sewing machine foot and then on the bottom side apply masking tape or painter's tape to that bottom side so that it produces a non-stick finish, and that will glide on your fabric. So if you're unable to purchase this type of foot, a non-stick or roller foot, you could try that technique to see if that helps eliminate those challenges when sewing with those types of fabrics. And then for cutting things out, it's also very helpful to have a small rotary cutter. This is a 28mm small rotary cutter that retracts, which is great because then it's protected. The blade's protected when you're not using it. It's not auto retracting. You do have to remember to push it back over, but it does have that cover. There's also one size smaller. I believe it is an 18mm, and that works great for the dog clothes items as well. So then along with your rotary cutter, you're gonna wanna have your mat and your acrylic ruler for cutting out those pieces. And then lastly, you're gonna want some sort of thimble. For when you're doing hand sewing, it is helpful to have that to push the needle through the fabric. Like I said, there's a lot of resistance on those heavier weight fabrics. So the hand sewing itself can be a little bit more challenging, but having something like this to slip over your finger is a great tool to have on hand. All right, so that wraps up part 1 of sewing with heavyweight specialty fabrics. Now, I really recommend that you go over all the information that's been provided and then take a look at your supplies to determine if you're going to need to pick up any new supplies to have on hand as we practice techniques for the specific fabrics throughout the rest of this course. I'm really excited that you're here to learn and grow together with everyone in this group. It's going to be a great month.